another episode of PassionWorks 101. I have been waiting for this day to have the guest that we have today. Before I introduce her, let me just say that we met a few years ago when I was singing. It was a few times we met. I was singing with Belladonna, an all-female band in the area, and then we saw each other at something else. Followed each other on social media, and then randomly, because of her personality and because of mine, we were like, let's just do lunch. We don't know each other, but let's do dinner. We did dinner. We continue to follow each other on social media, and she is such an amazing woman, such an inspiration. So let me introduce the co-owner of Salon Couture here in Maryland, the owner and CEO of Foos Financial Services, and then she also has 25 years of experience as a business finance manager. So she's caked up is my point. Okay? She got like 11 jobs. And she's also the mother of Sid the Kid. You know, I always gotta bring Sid, and that's that thing. So I would like to introduce Miss Laura Foos. Let's give it up. She is all things, everything, money.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here with you all today.
Yes, thank you so much. Well, before we get into it, because normally we have actual like creatives and musicians, it's a little different, but I would love for you to just share like your experience with creatives and musicians, especially here in the DMV area.
Well, I have had a long romance love relationship with Go-Go in the DMV.
She is an
yes. So that I think that music is so universal. Absolutely. And it is remembering, I had made a post about it recently, music, every time something good, bad, happy, or sad has happened in my life since I was 14 years old, we went to the Go-Go.
Wow.
And that is how we celebrated. That's how we got over things. That's how every divorce I got over, I went to the Go-Go. All of those things. Yeah. So I just think that music is so, it's just good for the soul. And every time we go to the Go-Go's, yes, I'm a very professional woman, but at any given time before the pandemic, you could find me at the front of the Go-Go, and they say our name, and the Salon Couture is all over any, because I love it. And I love the social interaction. I love the music. I love seeing everybody. So I cannot wait till we get through this pandemic so that I can get back outside.
That's awesome. So we have you here to talk about all things finance. I feel like we're going to have more than one episode with you here. But
this is perfect because just finding out, your relationship with the music industry and just what you do. I mean, let me share my experience with just, finances and credit. Obviously, a lot of us, I feel like, get into these credit traps during college. I know I did.
I did myself.
Yes.
I learned by trial and error.
Yes, and I think that's kind of everybody's story. At least for me, it was like a lot of trial and error. As I got older, I started kind of researching, I guess, and learning how to repair my own credit. So I've done that. But as a musician, as a, someone that's self-employed, the past few years, I've been kind of in this trying to buy my first home. And I'm starting to see that, it's not as easy because there's things that they want to see on paper. Yes. Now, as a musician, as a creator, you get a lot of, some people are salary, some people are payroll, but a lot of stuff is, you're paid on their table. They give you cash, they cash app you, they send you some PayPal money, So those things are, you can't show that on paper. You know what I mean? Yes. That's not something you're going to have on your taxes because you just don't have, there's no way to have a record of it. So that's what I feel like my struggle has been. How can I find that balance of having enough to show? Because I technically I make it. I make what's needed, but it's hard to show that. So that's kind of where I find myself, with my just home buying experience and finances and all that stuff. So I'm excited. Yeah. I guess with me saying that, we can start with how can we be successful in purchasing homes or property with, an inconsistent paycheck, being somebody that is, gig to gig.
Right. And I think that's a great question because a lot of my tax clients, this relates to them because being an owner of a salon, also from social media, everyone now is, whether it be a gig worker, a self-employed, an entrepreneur, because you had, multiple streams of income is a must, right? So even most people now have a job or a career where it is that unstable paycheck. So my biggest thing is for everyone, and this is what I recommend to my clients, how do we take that unstable and make it stable?
Right.
Because, you know, we have to, just like you said, this is your business. And like I tell people, if you want your business to be taken seriously, you're the first person that has to take it seriously.
That's right.
So I understand if we're gig workers or, you know, it's an unstable check. However, we can make it routine or more stable where every time we're getting income, we're depositing it into a business bank account so that you are able to track it, you are able to show it. And setting up formulas, because I know in all of my clients, I'm working with them, you know, we don't want to report all of that income on their taxes because they don't want to pay the taxes, right? You're paying minimum 10% income taxes, and then you're paying 15.3% self-employment taxes. So that's why, you know, a lot of the rappers, you'll hear them say, take that first 25%, and that's a real life number. So we have to have formulas so that maybe you don't get a check every Friday, but you do get every time I do a show, I need to take that first 25% and set it to the side for taxes. Because if I need to show income of $50,000 to $100,000 on a tax return, I need to set aside that money during the year and pay estimated tax payments, right?
That's a good way to avoid. Oh, okay.
Yes. So estimated tax payments is for everyone. And like you said, you don't have a way to track it or you don't put it on paper. But the IRS says that as soon as we make $1 outside of a W-2, you are supposed to report that. So they don't care how you get that money. They don't care if you get a 1099 or not, or Cash App or whatever. Cash App, yes, you guys sit there and scroll through and manually add it up.
Last year.
Yes, but we need to count all of that money on paper when you go to file your taxes. And then, yes, you can take off all of your expenses. So in a year that you know you're looking to purchase a home or an investment, then we need to make sure that maybe you're not writing off as much, you know, that you're showing those expenses. And you have to have a plan. Like you said, I know in 2 years I'm going to be purchasing a home, so I'm going to have to show it on my taxes, and I'm going to withhold the money, 25%. I'm going to set aside of every show to pay the taxes. Then it is stable. You know, you have to create some stability. Then we do have a paper record. And they do have programs now where you can, if you don't want to show it on tax returns, but you want to show bank statements, you can do a no-doc loan, they call it, like with just bank statements. However, you have to put 25% or 20% down. So that, you know, you're going to pay it in the front end to the IRS, or you're going to pay it on the back end to your mortgage lender. So just however you want to look at it.
That's so good, right?
Listen, I'm telling
hopefully
you,
that was helpful.
we're gonna have to have her like 3 times and talk about 3 different subjects. That's perfect.
It's so good because I'm finding that, at least from my trial and error, I'm on the right track. I have run into so many issues and not understanding, and I feel like a lot of musicians and performers run into that, you know, not understanding with how the 1099s, the estimated taxes. I had to research that to understand it. So this is great.
Good. And I think one of the things that you also said that is required is the discipline to do that. So you have to know if you get paid $400 for a gig. Like, to me, I'm now saying like 50% put it away. So like the 25% goes to everything else, maybe 10% to tithes and 10% to savings or something like that. So that if I'm getting paid $500 or whatever, that really only got paid $250, because the rest of that money doesn't even need to like be in my hands or even, you know, whatever. So that brings me to this question. So we want however many tips. I said 5, but we're going to take whatever you give us. How many tips you can give us on creatives, freelancers, so not just musicians, but, you know, graphic designers, stuff like that. Creatives, freelancers, and musicians, tips when it comes to just overall money management. So even if you're not trying to buy a house, money management in general.
No, that's another great question. Like you said, 5, but y'all know we talk way too much, so we might have to cut that down. So they're going to let us know, cut it out. And then y'all just going to have to follow me on Instagram to get the rest of the tips. Okay. But I did write them down so that I wouldn't talk too much and I would stick to the script. The first one, of course, I think we already said, the biggest thing is treat it like a business. And that's what I mean. Be serious about it. So if there is a way that you can be working with people and say, you know, I'm going to give you an invoice, or I get paid on QuickBooks, PayPal, there's a little bit easier way to track it. But just treat it seriously so that other people treat it seriously. Have a business bank account. You know, if you are a performer, you could still create an LLC, get an EIN number, get a business bank account and put $50 in there. So, you know, you begin to treat it seriously and other people will take it seriously.
Can I raise my hand? I'm sorry. Okay. So the business accounts, normally they require a hefty deposit to go in there, or a daily balance that you have to have. Can you explain the benefit or the slight difference in the personal? I mean, we know it's a personal and a business, so we assume, but what is the difference fundamentally for the business and the personal checking?
The business is also, because the IRS, the main thing is because, like I said, everyone will tell you once you start making money, we don't want to mess with the IRS. And the IRS says we should not commingle personal and business funds. So you have to keep a business account. And like you said, most of the time you could start it with $50. I'm not familiar with the balance because
because you got bread. That's what I'm not familiar with that, because I deposit thousands.
Not at all. I am a single mother who pays college tuition. So no, it's not all of that. But I don't want to speak incorrectly about the balance, but I do know that they just don't want you commingling the money. So that's why we need to have it. The first thing, like you had just said, Patrice, you had spoke on, my other biggest thing is making sure we're paying ourselves first, because I know when we're getting money, because it's unstable, we have a tendency that we want to spend or overspend and then it's gone. So I do agree with, like Patrice said, if we know when the money comes in for every show, so whether you have a per show formula, a weekly formula, a monthly formula, that first 25% I'm setting to the side for taxes. But I also say pay yourself first, which means a savings account, because especially during this year of the pandemic, if we did not learn any lessons, it's that we have to have some money in the bank, because there's always something that is going to come up, whether it be your home, your car, your children. So even if it's unstable, we don't always want to be stressed about the money. So first off, put money in savings, pay yourself first, and then everything else. Because we know if you pay all of your bills, then there's going to be nothing left. So the formula, making sure that you charge what you're worth, because for me, from example, you know, when I first started, let's say, doing taxes, I just wanted to do everybody's taxes and say I did a lot of people's taxes. And then I was spending so much time and doing so many things for free. Then you wear yourself out and the money doesn't add up because I have expenses coming out. So it's also making sure, you know, when we're doing these different things and you can set your own price, that you are charging your worth. Check the competitors, or always, you know, your expenses, how much you feel your time is worth. And then, of course, we always want to say live below your means. You know, when I tell you to have a budget, it means I also want you living below your means, not at what you're making, but below your means. And then, just like we were talking when we were getting started, with the unstable paychecks, because yes, I get asked all the time, which I'm sure you ladies do as well, that there are, you know, when are you going to quit that other job? You know, that stable paycheck job. You know, you're doing so well in these businesses. When are you going to quit that? Look, this is your deal, your life. No one else is helping you take care of the bills, pay the bills. So do what works for you. And I think that we all know, or we've seen this year, we have to have multiple streams of income. So if we need to keep that W-2 job just a little longer so that we're not stressed, like I want to live comfortably. Okay, I like calling DoorDash every day. I like using Instacart for grocery store. I just found people to wash my clothes. Like I don't look. I want to live comfortably. So don't make
Molly.
Yes, the cleaning ladies. I mean, we have to live. You know, do what works for you and your situation.
That's perfect.
I do have one more question, but I wanted to piggyback off of, I think it was the third thing you said about charging what you're worth. So I I do have an LLC for like my entertainment. So like when I hire, even like Kendra, you know, she's played for me. Like I, starting out, I have this struggle because maybe I don't have a $5,000 budget to pay everybody what they're worth. But what I will say is, when you know you can't pay people the top-notch dollars, the way you can make up for that is, one, be organized yourself, make the situation easy for them so that they're willing to do it. Because I do know that for creatives in general, time is also currency. So if Kendra has a gig at 10 o'clock and my gig is at 7 o'clock, when I book her to play for me, I can say, okay, the parking is here, but I've paid $15 for your parking already, so you can park right in the front of the venue, so you can leave and go to your other gig. Right. Or when we get to rehearsal, that I'm not messing around and that we get straight to it, because sometimes people are willing to do stuff for you for a little bit less if they don't have the headache of the other stuff. So I've been really big on that, because I haven't made it to a place where I can pay my people all the time what they're worth. Sometimes I have. I feel like, I got money sometimes, but a lot of the times, I try to make up for it in other ways, so that so I can get the best of what I get, but still not get on their nerves and they be like, I'm not playing for this girl again. It's not worth it. So I just wanted to add that, because that's a struggle for a lot of people. So,
and musicians know that we have all been in situations where we're doing a gig, and I know for myself, I have stopped doing gigs for people that are wasting my time, that don't advocate, don't even like have a little chair in the corner to sit down during a break, or just a little swig of water. I have stopped doing those gigs because it's too much headache. Like so I definitely,
it's a balance, because I want my show to be good, so I gotta have some, if I play one time and they're great, I can't go backwards. So how do I maintain it? So I just wanted to make that point, especially for people just starting out. So the last question we have is setting goals for money in lieu of the pandemic. So we know that, I am grateful that in the beginning they had like an additional unemployment thing for, gig workers, which normally they would not have.
Exactly.
I will say that I'm kind of happy that I did have some of my gig situations on file with the IRS, because that's what they use to verify that I made that. But what are some goals for the new year? Because we really don't know when this is about to be over.
Right. And I think that's the biggest thing, is we're all sitting here now and I just got a text message regarding the city or PG County and, some things that are going on now. So I think the biggest thing for money goals for 2021 is give yourself some grace, because, I think it's very hard to set such big goals, or that you're going to pay off all this debt, when right now we're just trying to get through. So I think until we really know how the pandemic is going to go, or until that you have some stability, I think you have to give yourself grace and not feel bad about it. I do think, though, because we still want to have money goals, like our goal is I want to live comfortably. So I do think some of that is, adjusting your mindset that, this is my passion, this is my dream, but sometimes I may have to, get that other job or get that W-2 job to fund the dreams. Regardless of, and I think that's the biggest thing, is us not worrying about how it looks to other people, because when it comes down to it, I take care of me and mine. No one else does. So I think that during this unstable time, really unstable time, I think that we look at other avenues to create income, that yes, we want to do shows, we want to live in our music, and it even may be during the pandemic that maybe we're having to, help your fellow man and so into others of doing shows for free, because music right now I know is getting us through the live virtual shows and things like that. So it may be I'm going to do more of this because I feel it's my passion and my purpose, and then I'm going to go over here during the day and go work at Target, because Target I heard gives a good discount and it's my favorite store. So if anybody goes to work at Target, let me know.
Yes.
So I think, like you said, the biggest thing is the goal is just to get through the year, to get through the pandemic, to survive and do what you got to do and give yourself some grace to get through this period.
I feel like that was it, because I promise you, at first I thought you were going to be like, so do this and do that. And you were like, no. Let's just get through this.
Mm-hmm. Girl, I can take you to church now too. We can go from the go-go to the church to the boardroom table. So I can take you wherever we need to go.
I was just gonna say we are super, super like grateful. This is perfect. I need this for me. I need this for me. How can we stay in contact with you? How can we get in contact with you online, social media?
So my biggest one, where I do try to post daily all kinds of helpful information, of course funny information as well, because y'all see I think I'm a comedian too, and I go to church on Sundays, so tune in. My Instagram page is I'm Laura Foos. I am Laura, F like Frank, OOS like Sam. So that's the biggest place. And then if you need tax help, you can always text the words tax help to 21,000, and that will give you information regarding tax help and processing.
Yes.
So thank you, ladies, for having me.
Thank you for coming. I know Kendra is going to be like, so I want to talk to you offline. I already know. And I know, like, I've already been watching your stuff, and I'm like, ooh, I didn't do that. Let me write it down real quick. She's not yelling at me next year.
Yes.
So
I would love
thank
to.
you again, Miss CEO Moneybag, Laura Foos, for coming through to PassionWorks 101, where we want your passion to work for you. I am Patrice Live.
I'm Kendra.
See you next time.
Bye.